right, guys, we're ready to get back to it. We got 20 minutes here. Let's finish this up with the whole concept of, we talked at this 100% responsibility and where we're going there. Why is taking 100% so important in a person's life, Renee?
Wow, that's one of those things where, again, it goes back to what do they want to create in their life? Because I mentioned at the first show, what do they want to create? What do they want to have? How much money do they want to earn a year? What do they want to do in their career? What about their health and fitness, their personal goals? Taking 100% responsibility is one of the first huge steps that can really transform someone's lives. If they just have that little switch in their head and start looking at, rather than getting caught up in the blame game, rather than blaming the economy and getting caught up in all the negativity that can go on in the newspaper. I quit taking the newspaper because of all the negativity. That's all I read it for. I mean, I grew up in journalism. I used to write little articles for this high school newspaper, and I got in a habit of just reading the newspaper. And then as I got older, I just started reading all the negative stuff about it. And then we used to watch the news at 10 o'clock at night, and I'd get caught up in all these stories. And it would have an impact on my life. And so I started making small changes after I went through some coaching processes and say, okay, how is this impacting my life? How is this media, so to speak? And I can't blame the media because we're on medium now. I don't want anybody to stop listening because of what we're trying to tell our listeners. But, again, look at the media, look at the circumstances, look at the circle of friends that you hang around with. Do they support you in what you're trying to create in your life? And, again, that's 100% responsibility. If they don't, then you accept the responsibility of, hey, I still love my friends or still love my family, but I just need to choose differently, make different changes. I think one of the things that was really cool that I learned at a seminar was put names of people on the left-hand side and put a plus and minus. How many people are on your plus side? How many people on your minus side? And if there's a lot of negatives on the people that you have listed, to start looking at those changes. And that's taking 100% accountability or responsibility on making changes. Because if you say your circle of influence is going to be the 5 people you hang around with, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with. Do you know that, Mike?
Oh, gosh. I mean, no wonder. I had 3 sisters. Maybe that says something in itself.
But it is so key to really making the step and where you want to go in your life. And I keep pounding on that. And it's so important because that was just an aha moment when you look at how many things, the New Year's resolutions, you're the one that quit doing that. So I could go on and on about, you're the one that did this, you're the one that did that. So take a look in the mirror. And I say that because I want people to understand that taking 100% responsibility of where they are in their relationships is so important. Family relationships, business relationships, everything is based on the E plus R equals O, the event plus response, equals that outcome. So every outcome that someone's had in their lives right now, that's where they're at. Today's results are yesterday's choices.
Mike, where do you do that? Mike, how do you do that when you get to finance? I think to that income, everybody wants the O to be the equals maximum ROI or whatever.
Well, in my experience, or at least with me, I don't ever claim, I'm not going to sit here and tell people we're going to do 20% a year because quite frankly, the way that I invest, I would like to think, I'm actually called an alternative guy. I don't have but maybe 20 to 30% tied to the stock market when I invest for people. And the reason I bring that up is I'm not the guy for everybody. And when you're sitting there saying taking the blame or taking 100% responsibility, what I'm going to get back to is, okay, this is where we're the coaching part, and sometimes you don't like what your coaches say, so to speak. Mm-hmm. You're listening to the show right now, or maybe you listened to last week's show, or maybe this is something you thought about because you had a New Year's resolution. Stick to it. What are we going to be doing going forward? The 100% responsibility, it's easy to say, well, I know I need to get to this. It's important. I need to do that. You know how many people I meet with that have no wills?
Sure.
That have nothing put in place because thinking about that, who wants to think about that? Let's think about the Super Bowl tomorrow. That's a heck of a lot more fun. But we don't think about maybe what is our spouse going to have to go through if something happened to us tomorrow.
Right.
And I get into all this. You pick up your bootstraps. You look at different things. If you're unhappy with your life, do a whole, just what Renee did. You got to do the plus and the minuses. If you're unhappy with your finances, do a plus and minuses. Decide to make a change or don't decide to make a change, but by gosh, do something. That's where I would answer you, Jim. That's where I love the conversations that we're having. But I don't want people just to listen to the show saying we're going to always pump them full of sunshine and we're going to tell you everything's okay and give you a big warm hug. Get out there and get active. If you don't know where to start, call us, email us through the show. We can give you some tools to get on the right path. That's the whole purpose of the show.
No doubt about it.
Sorry, didn't mean to get too emphatic.
No, I think it's awesome.
Well, and we started about the on our plan of life. Okay, one part of it is setting a financial budget. The other part of it is taking responsibility for our actions and trying to improve our lives and trying to figure out what it is that we want to do. And part of that, quite frankly, is the whole concept of taking inventory. I think a lot of times when you talk to different people, you sit back and you sit there and say, well, what is it that I really want out of a situation? Renee alluded to it a little bit earlier about taking on a new job or taking on a greater career. Well, 9 times out of 10, when an employer looks at you to take on more responsibility, you assume that that's going to mean more financial reward for you. The employer may be looking at it as, this is what I need for you to make a minimum contribution to your organization. You're looking at it as, oh, this is a maximum contribution, or it's a way for me to make more money. And the inventory is not in balance. There's not that feeling of, okay, do I really know what I'm doing in going forward? Sure. To that end, I think, the thing I'm taking away from this is responsibility in your day-to-day life as a foundation to moving forward and developing this plan and developing this improvement in your life is really almost paramount. You can't go anywhere without it.
No.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Renee.
Well, it's just fun. It's paramount. I think it's...
You stole my word, by the way. That's not fair.
It's huge. But I like the way Mike said that. Just get out there. Write it down on a piece of paper. There's a statistic from the Harvard study, and I think there's only 83% of the population don't write goals down.
Wow.
And the 3% that do, or 14%, 3% that do own 90% of the businesses.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
You can see that there's only quite a few people that don't write goals down. So when you see it and feel it, then that helps you to understand writing your goals down.
Can I jump on your taking inventory for a second, Jim?
Sure.
Because here's something because I get that question a lot. Okay, Mike, where do we start to do this? I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to give him something. Because right now, Mike, I've done a budget. First of all, if your check register is your budget, no, you do not have a budget, okay? I'm just being brutally honest here. Right. I've had that shown to me a couple of times. I'm going to ask 3 questions, and I know if you're driving, listeners, please, I'm already being kicked out of restaurants. I don't want to be responsible for any accidents. But I want you to take these 3 questions. If you're sitting there with your spouse and you're kind of going to give each other a weird look after I ask these, then you know where you need to go. If you're looking on Mike, where do I start? Okay, these 3 questions. Can you retire early? How much money will you need when you retire? Or even if you are retired, how much money are you going to need when you retire? And at what age can you retire? If your answer to any one of those 3 questions is, I have no idea, you need to start a plan, you need to start a budget right now, right when you get off the phone. And if you don't know how to start a budget or a plan, email, call the show, we'll put you on the right path and contact with somebody and get that to you. Those 3 questions you should be asking yourself. If any of them are, I don't know, or no, I don't know how much money I need to retire. You have no plan, and every year you wait is another year closer to when you're going to have to live on your own 2 feet, i.e. retirement income that you put away.
When do you define adulthood? My
mom would argue that, right?
Well, I'm not trying to throw out a quick question, but my father would always say, and my family would always say, adulthood is when you really come to the realization or understand that your life is 100% your responsibility. Your parents can take you to a certain level. They can nurture you. They can educate you or whatever. But that day when you wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to take control of my life and I'm going to make a difference, that's the first real day of adulthood. And what you're talking about, there's some people I could argue, probably myself included in that group, that when I look at those 3 questions, I go, yeah, I think I will watch another Super Bowl commercial, or I'll kick back and deal with another issue because it's too close to home. It's too sensitive, and I don't want to think about, I'm going to work till I'm 107.
Well,
I'm going to die in this chair here talking to you guys when, the time comes. But the reality is, no, we don't. None of us have that dream. We all want to find that day when we can kick it back in the shade and do something different. But if you don't take responsibility and you don't create that action plan, it's never going to happen.
The last thing I want is somebody, a widow, sitting across from me in my office, having no idea what they have in income or what they owe in money. And I know with Renee, with your coaching, your job is to push people to make a difference in their lives, to make a difference with the whole kit and caboodle. I'm just that small part of the pie. And I told a little quick story about this at a group that me and Renee are a part of. When I got into the financial services industry, and when I was getting all these different designations, I went to all these conferences, started being asked to speak at them. And the one thing people kept asking me is, do you have a coach? I said, coach, what's that? Yeah, I played football. No, do you have a coach? And I found that the top 10 producers, the top 10 financial advisors at the conferences that I was attending, every single one of them had a coach. Every single one of them. And I had no idea what it was. And it is so good to have that accountability. If you want to call it accountability buddy, whatever you want to call it. But I would like to imagine myself as a financial accountability buddy. That's why I have a job, because people like Jim don't want to ask those questions. My job is to ask them.
Sure.
Well, and that coach and that mentor in your life is so important, because it's a feedback. It's easy to sit there and also tell yourself, oh, how wonderful I am, how wonderful I am, how wonderful I am. And it's that person that can kind of cut to your through the chase and cut through the 5-foot brick wall and say, hey, listen, have you really thought about, XYZ question, and can challenge you, and make you really fully think through some of those tough life decisions. So, Renee, and wrapping up, where are we going?
I like that. That's the light bulb that goes off when I'm sitting with a client and talking about one of the first things I ask is, are you prepared to take 100% responsibility for your life? And they're like, sure. Now, are you ready to? Well, maybe. And so you really have to ask yourself, do you take 100% responsibility for your life? Yes, I do, in all areas. So when I take a client through that, sometimes they're a little amazed about when you go through all those different areas of seven areas of your life that I mentioned earlier. It's a light bulb that goes off and says, wow, I didn't realize that's the way it needs to be, or it could be that way. And my job is to help them see that and to provide input and to just kind of brainstorm a little bit to help them out as much as they can in their lives. So, again, that's my role as far as a life coach.
Good deal. Mike, anything to wrap us up today?
Take me up on the offer. I know I'm just shooting from the hip here. If you don't have any kind of budget software that you can look up, I know Mint.com has a real good one. If you're not going there, definitely give us a call. We'll find a way. If I have to, I'll leave them up here at KBEC for people to pick up so you can have a budget to fill out. But I really want to stress, I want to help people down here get started on the right path. I don't care if it's with me, if it's with somebody else, just take the first step.
Sure. And that first step is sending your questions to info@kbec.com so we can get that information to Mike and Renee, and that we can help you on that journey, get you started. Also, anytime you ever got a question, feel free to call us during the show, 972-923-1390 or 972-938-1390. We're going to be here from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock for the next 5, 10, 12, 15, who knows how many weeks. But the idea is we want to help you out and improve your life and make you folks a better place. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Renee. We appreciate everything you guys have done for us. I do need to read one thing real quick on the disclaimers. You've been listening to Life and Money Matters with the Success Guys, Mike Hill and Renee Guerra. If you would like to request information regarding the topic you heard on today's show, or if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at 972-923-1390. Also, in regards to Mike Hill is a registered representative and of securities offered through Bethel Fisher and Company Financial Services Incorporated, member FNRI SIPC. Hill and Associates Wealth Management Advisors is an independent of BFCFS. The interpretations and organizations of these ideas are the confidential thoughts of Mike Hill and do not represent the opinions of Bethel Fisher and Company Financial Services. Thank you, gang, for tuning in today, and go out there on a great Saturday and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
For a sound as big as Texas, you found us. Classic Texas 1390 KBEC with more great tunes coming up next.